Come to Helmuth Ford, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty.
Hi, this is Stacy from Shuttler Insurance Services. Come see me on the east side of the square in Sigourney for all your insurance needs.
Jace Race 2025 is Saturday, June 7th at the North Mahaska Junior Senior High School in New Sharon. The 5K starts at 8 a.m., followed by the 1 mile fun run. To sign up, use the links on the North Mahaska Education Foundation's Facebook page. Pre-registration guarantees you a t-shirt, but you can also sign up the day of the race. There will be some giveaways and first place prizes. In memory of Jace Carrico, who passed in 2008, the Carrico family appreciates the community's support.
Southern Iowa, it's rodeo time. The 2025 Albia Chamber Main Street Rodeo returns Saturday, June 7th at the Monroe County Fairgrounds. Rogue Rodeo brings us 8 thrilling events, a bull ride showdown, comedy from Ronald Burton, and the dazzling Diamonds and Dust performance. Gates open at 5 p.m. for food, fun, and high-energy action await. Tickets on sale now at albiachambermainstreet.org. Adults $15 in advance, $20 at the gate. Kids only $10. Saddle up for a night of tradition and thrill. Don't miss it.
Neil,
Hey, man, what's up?
you want to do some radio?
Radio? I haven't been on the radio for a long time. But yeah, that'd be cool.
Cool.
Skunk River Radio. Let's get skunky.
Hey, welcome in. What are you doing over there?
I'm just turning the camera back around so I can see myself. Otherwise, I'd be lost in the darkness, talking into the ether.
Yes. So, hey, Real Talk. It's a t-shirt edition of Real Talk, and it is time to get real. It's brought to us by New Life Community Church in Wellman, where Pastor Aaron Fleming, that guy, he's the pastor. That's why I called him Pastor Aaron Fleming.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. We're making a lot of sense today. Yes. We're getting back into the idea of your life is a story, and are you telling a good story, or are you telling a boring story, or telling a tragic story? Because there's, a lot of us are living tragic stories too. So that's no fun.
No.
Yeah. And my understanding of tragedies is that tragedies are based on like people who can't change.
Okay.
Like Romeo and Juliet is a tragedy, and they can't change because they were born into the families that they were born into. Yeah. So that's about all I remember about Romeo and Juliet from high school English class.
Oh, Romeo.
Yeah, I memorized. We all had to memorize a portion of Romeo and Juliet, just like 8 lines or something. And I memorized the part where a guy is dying and calling down curses on his enemies, and so that was fun to act out in front of the class. Wow, that was a blast from the past. We're talking about stories though, and what makes a good story, Steve? What is one of your favorite stories?
I think you're leading me and guiding me into a certain universe called Star Wars.
Star Wars. Yeah, and I can ask you a couple of questions about the opening scenes of episode 4, A New Hope, and I think you'll be able to answer this really quickly.
Okay.
I think. Otherwise, we'll be embarrassed. For the whole world to see on the internet. Okay, so at the beginning of New Hope, what does Princess Leia want?
Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope. She needs help. Help!
Yeah. And she's got these plans for the Death Star.
Yes. Yep. And she bends over and puts him into R2-D2.
And she withstands torture and like the
scary thing that comes into like the prison cell with the long needle. You remember that?
Yeah. What did they do with that? Like, is there something in the canon that describes what that did? Because
I don't know.
that looked really scary, and then the camera cuts away.
Yeah,
I
and
thought
you
they were
never-
gonna.
You never find out.
You never find out. Oh, that's a rabbit hole you could go down. But she wants to send a message, and she wants to destroy the Death Star, and she's really clear about that the whole movie, right? Okay,
Yep.
so then there's Luke, and what does Luke want?
He just wants to get off his home planet and get into space.
He wants to get off his home planet and get into space, and he wants that the whole movie, right? So one of the first elements of crafting a good story is to want something.
Mm-hmm.
And if all you want is to eat pizza and drink beer and watch football, you're going to have a boring story. I mean, that actually sounds like kind of a good time.
Maybe for a portion of the movie.
For a portion of the movie. Yeah, I think The Big Lebowski is mostly about
Bowling.
but how much do they actually bowl? It's been a while since I've seen
Yeah.
The Big Lebowski. Yeah, it's really like that guy's favorite thing to do is bowl, but he spends very little time in the movie bowling. So to have an interesting story, you gotta want something, and then with like the boy on the farm who wants to leave the farm and go see the world. That's one of the biggest stories ever. Like,
Yeah.
there's a million stories like that. Why? Because like I think we all connect with it. Boy or girl that wants to get off the farm. Leo Tolstoy, the guy who wrote War and Peace, the great Russian author, he once said that there's really only three basic stories. One is a man leaves his home, so that would be Luke Skywalker, right? A man leaves his home. The second story is a stranger arrives in town, which kind of fits with Star Wars too, doesn't it? Like Luke is sitting there, I want to leave the farm, Uncle Owen.
Yeah.
When can I go to the Star Academy?
Yeah. I want to be in the rebellion.
And then a stranger arrives in town, right? These were two droids arrive, and they change everything. Could you just do the rest of the show as R2D2? And then the third story, according to Leo Tolstoy, is Godzilla versus Sharknado.
Really?
No, that's just an internet meme. I didn't even make that up. I feel bad. But it's funny to me. Okay, so a character that wants something. Now listen to this. Here's Jesus speaking. Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be opened to you. For everyone who asks receives. He who seeks finds. And to him who knocks, the door will be opened. And as we look at Star Wars, like, yeah, Luke wants to get off the farm. He really wants to get off the farm. And there isn't like a God figure, but
The Force.
the Force is that's. And then in episode 1 they explain it as this scientific thing. And it.
Yeah.
How do you feel
Ruined
about
it.
that, Steve?
Other than the first 3 original movies, the rest of them are kind of
How about Rogue One?
good. Really
yeah,
good.
yeah. Rogue One may have been my favorite one
Yeah.
of them all, but anyway, so we'll forget episode 1, 2, and 3, and 6 and 7 and 8, or 7, 8, and 9.
Yeah, there you go.
So we'll stick with the original trilogy. But this idea of wanting something. Last week we were talking about Roomba vacuum sweeper. That makes a boring story, but the first step in crafting a life that has a story worth telling is to want something enough to get past obstacles. So if Jesus says, ask and you will receive, that means we got to be really careful about what we're asking for. Am I asking for a life of leisure and comfort? Well, I might get that. And then I might not have a very interesting life. So Good story has to have a main character who wants something. Most stories also have what in the storytelling craft, what we call
In the industry.
In the industry. Well, it's not industry. That's too commercial and not artistic enough. It's the craft, Steve.
Oh, okay.
In the craft, we talk about the inciting incident. The thing that shakes up life and forces the character to make a decision about whether they're going to stay at home on the farm or whether they're going to leave the farm because, Luke has to stay to the end of the harvest before he goes to Starfleet Academy. Is that what it's called?
I don't know.
That also could be Star Trek. I don't know. We might be mixing sci-fi.
Mix and match.
That's all good. Some people would be offended by that, but we're pretty chill here on Real Talk. We're really chill. See, people get the impression that Real Talk means that we're like always talking about offensive topics and things like that. But we're genuinely chill here at Real Talk.
Real Talk is Star Wars, people.
Real Talk. Okay, so. But we know that Luke probably had this conversation with Uncle Owen last year. And every year it's, you can go to Starfleet Academy after the harvest. And then, if you could help me fix a couple of machines so I can get ready for planting. And then, planting season. Could you stay and help with planting season? And like this.
You always say that.
Right. And
but then one day, Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru all get wiped off the planet.
And that's what we call an inciting incident.
That would incite me.
Yeah. So when we look at our own lives, sometimes we see that, hypothetically, we do the same job for 25 years. And then something happens, and we don't have that job anymore.
28 years.
28.
Yeah.
Well, I was just being hypothetical, Steve. I don't know what you're talking about, but that seemed really specific. Oh, man.
By the way, we're coming up on that date where it all went down.
Yeah. So that's 2 years or 3 years now? How long? 2 years that you've been doing Steve Shetler Media.
Indeed.
Yeah, 2 years. So without a force acting from the outside, you might not have ever started this. Our experience at church, we were talking last week about the new building that we bought and that we're moving into and starting worship services there in downtown Wellman on June 1st. But we were not looking for a building. But we had rental space on Sunday morning at the YMCA building and rental space downtown for our office. And at the beginning of 2024, our landlord in our office came and said, hey guys, I need the space you're in. I'm not in a hurry. Like, you've got to the end of the year, but I'd really like to have you move on. And he felt so bad. Like, he's such a nice guy, right? But it took an outside force to get us moving. And we call that an inciting incident. And I think the difference between a good story and a bad story, telling a good story and a bad story with your life, is that if you see negative circumstances like that as an opportunity instead of seeing it as oh man. And like when you're in the middle of it, like, I've had jobs that did not end the way that I wanted them to end. Mm-hmm. Things where I thought I would ride off into the sunset at the age of 65 and ended up riding off into the sunset at the age of 46.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I was staggering or getting kicked by the horse and then rolling down the hill out of town.
With a knife in your back.
Yeah, with the knife in my back and ending up against the barbed wire fence with a bunch of tumbleweeds or something like that. So kind of like Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, getting laser blasted by stormtroopers. Do you realize that Owen and Beru are like the only two people in all of Star Wars to actually get shot by stormtroopers? I mean, that's bad luck right there.
Yeah, that is.
That's bad
and
luck.
being named Baru. That's kind of bad luck, too.
Well, maybe in a Tatooine language, that means something really nice.
Like best aunt ever.
Yeah,
Probably.
or beautiful lady, or really smart person. I'm not sure if that's canon or not, but do you have any of those books where it talks about what's canon and what's not and all that?
No.
No,
I'm not that much of a Star Wars.
Oh, okay. You just like the first 3 movies.
Yeah. I've
Okay.
tried to like the other ones, and some of it, there's parts, bits and pieces that I like.
Do you have a Jar Jar Binks impression that you could do?
Misa is the stupidest character in whole Star Wars.
You do. Very good.
Misa, Yuza, ooh.
Annie! You're as terrible as the original. That's truly unpleasant. Oh, so the inciting incident comes along, and we get fired, or somebody breaks up with us, or our house burns down, or Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru get shot by the stormtroopers. Although they get they're just skeletal in that scene.
It's I don't know what happened. They don't show it.
Right.
It's just their little place, their house was just blown up and smoky and black and burning
and then Luke has to make the decision. So that's I just find that a really helpful way to look at my own life and to look at negative circumstances, and at least some kinds of negative circumstances. There's abuse and stuff and injustice that I don't like to say, well, that was just God's way of getting that person moving. Now, some stuff is just evil and terrible crime, but how do I look at the negative things? Is it just something I'm going to have to wallow in, or is it kind of a kick in the pants to start doing the thing that I really always wanted to do? Mm-hmm. So we got a character who wants something, and we've got an inciting incident, and there's got to be obstacles in the story. So maybe we can talk more about that next week, because we're kind of running down on time here. But here's something that a lot of the great stories also have, and that is a guide, like the mentor. And obviously in Star Wars, that is
Darth Vader.
He tried to guide Luke.
Obi-Wan Kenobi. Or Yoda.
Well, yeah, because Obi-Wan dies, and then there's Yoda, but there's these cool wise characters who come in and help the young man who just left the farm. Well, hey, there's a guide in the story of the Bible too, who's available to be a guide in the story of your life. Which of you, if his son asks for bread, will give him a stone, or if he asks for a fish, will give him a snake? If you then, though you are evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much will your Father in heaven give good gifts to those who ask for them? So here we are living the story of our lives, and we have a Father in heaven who will serve as our guide and give us the knowledge and the skills and help us develop as we move forward. Because Luke didn't train with Obi-Wan nearly long enough, right?
Yeah.
But we have a permanent guide in the person of the Holy Spirit, who will teach us everything that we need to know. But usually not until right exactly when we need to know it. Mm-hmm. So anyway, those are my thoughts on story. All y'all out there, keep telling a good story with your life. Pray and figure out what it is that you want. What do you really want? And then start looking for ways to overcome those obstacles to get through. So I think that's it for today, Steve.
All right. Well, we do thank New Life Community Church in Wellman for being our sponsor, where Aaron is the pastor. Make sure we tag them on the Facebook video, so make sure you follow their page and see what they're all about. So we'll do this again in a week. For more Real Talk, tune in Mondays here on Steve Shetler Media.